What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line on Sports. He's Jeremy Pink. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor. And yes, we do need you to rate, subscribe, and review our show. We appreciate that. But now it's on to the biggest stories we think that are going to pop off in 2026. And a lot of it has to do, my friend, with the NFL getting some more money.
Yeah, we think one of the biggest stories for next year is the NFL is likely to renegotiate a lot of its TV and media deals. And sort of rather than getting into the nitty-gritty of how much money they're going to make and who's going to bid against whom,
Yeah, because I don't care about billionaires arguing over billions.
you're right. I don't think a lot of people care about. I think what people do care about is how is that going to shape their viewing in the
Yeah,
next
like
year, in the next few years.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're like me, and a lot of you sports fans are, I got YouTube TV because I like the NFL. I got Amazon because I like the NFL. I got Netflix because I like movies and the NFL comes on there. And then, dude, I refused to buy Peacock, but I did borrow a password from my son for Peacock. So I got that for when the NFL is on Peacock. But now, they're talking about the NFL branching off into even more areas. And so that just means more streaming dollars I got to spend, more decisions I got to make. And I ain't alone. Everybody doesn't have basic cable.
Yeah. Well, and I remember when a long time ago when the NFL games were all on the networks, the ABCs, the free to air networks.
Yeah.
And then some of the games moved to cable. And that was a major disruption of the viewing of a lot of people
Heck
who
yeah.
were, used to watching the games for free over the air. And where we are today is that people are used to watching some of the NFL games on cable, but more and more games are going to move over to streaming. And I think what's happened in the last couple of years is that people watch on streaming. Streaming quality is very, very good.
Yes.
It's there's no differentiation to the viewer really between watching an NFL game on Amazon and watching an NFL game on CBS or NBC or Fox. And I think now that they are functionally equivalent and kind of all the kinks have been worked out for streaming, I think that there's going to be more and more product that's going to be on streaming services or YouTube or wherever else it's going to be. And that's going to change the dynamic for television viewers and viewers of the NFL in general.
Yeah, I think, but here's the question. How do you think it's going to change it most? Is it just that you got to buy all these different streaming services, or is it something else?
Yeah, I think that what's happened right now is that the convenience level to the consumer is gone. And if you didn't like cable television, certainly understandable, but it was convenient in the sense that you knew everything was there at once, right? And so right now, in order to watch a lot of football, a lot of NFL, you kind of have to navigate on your own. I've got to go to streaming service A or streaming service B, or maybe it's on my multi-channel television provider or whatever it is. I've got to do a lot of work on my own as a consumer. So I think what might happen in 2025 is there may be something that creates the equivalent of a bundling of watching sports in a more efficient way for the consumer. And I think one of the things that there was an announcement that was made by YouTube
Yeah.
maybe, just a few weeks ago that said they're going to have you can subscribe to YouTube TV, but only for sports. You don't have to get the entertainment channels just for sports. So is that the beginning of ushering in some sort of bundling? Maybe you get YouTube Sports and then YouTube, maybe via YouTube, you can also subscribe to the streaming services so you can watch everything at once. I know Amazon's trying to do that. I know Apple TV's trying to do that. I know Google TV's trying to do that. So I think that's potentially what's going to change.
I was trying to think. I think that's a good thing because I go back and look at it, and almost all of my television watching is movies and live sports. Like I don't watch any shows that come on the networks. I don't watch any game shows. I don't watch. I mean, I need local networks Really, only because the games come on CBS and NBC and Fox, not for anything else. Um,
You don't watch any, so you're not a consumer of any sort of television news at all?
you know why, bro? This is real truth. I'm being very honest with you guys. Live news is too depressing. Like literally, if you turn on the news, the first five stories are going to be somebody was shot and killed, somebody was murdered, somebody was abducted, um, some country invaded some other country. I mean, it's terrible. And so I can read the newspaper and pick and choose what I want to read, see the headlines. But local news, it's almost all negative.
Yeah, I think that the consumer right now is choosing really live sports, live news, and the occasional live event. YouTube announced this week or this year in December anyway that they have acquired the rights to the Oscars starting in 2029.
Really?
Yeah. And
It
so
makes sense though. It's an event.
it's an event, right? So I think it's all the live sports, live news, whatever you have to consume live. I think it's going to become its own, and I don't think this is anything new, but I think that becomes its own entity in some form. The subset of the live stuff is live sports, and I think that's someone's going to figure that out, or one of the whether it's Amazon or YouTube or Google or somebody's or YouTube and Google are the same, but somebody's going to figure that out and way to allow the sports viewing consumer to have as convenient of a way as possible to consume sports across the multiple streaming platforms and the networks.
No, I think the bundle they were talking about is the first step toward getting it done, and then over the next few years they'll perfect whatever the bundle
Yeah,
is.
it's like on Amazon now. I don't have this, but on Amazon, if you have Amazon Prime, which when you have their video service, which I
Right?
do, you can subscribe to
Yeah, all these other
Paramount
channels.
and everything else via Amazon Prime, and it's kind of already in one single neighborhood,
Yeah,
you know. And I think what YouTube TV has done is basically said, look, we know when you've subscribed to cable TV that you don't watch any of the channels. You watch about eight of them, or you watch about four of them, or you watch about six
that's
of
a
them.
good question. Is how many channels do most people watch?
Well, there were studies done many years ago that it was something like four to six channels, and that
I
was it.
believe it.
Yeah. And and the but now that YouTube's offering this service of just sports channels, I think you're right. I think what you just said is exactly the right thing, which is that may be the first step in terms of what they do. And maybe there's an add-on, not dissimilar to how Red Zone is an add-on. Now,
Yeah,
it's different because YouTube bought the rights to Red Zone, but maybe YouTube TV brokers a deal with Amazon Prime. They broker a deal with, Peacock and says, look, we'll put you on our service, but people have to subscribe to Peacock via the service, or
yeah,
there's going to be some kind of bundling that happens. And I think the NFL, which has the ability to renegotiate its media rights in 2026, even though those rights don't expire for a number of years, I think that's going to be a catalyst to that change.
yeah. I think so. Now it's all interesting because if you have a Sunday ticket, you should be able to get any game no matter what streaming
Mhm.
service it's on. Which kind of alleviates that if you want to rock like that. Now, of course, I thought the Sunday ticket was great when it came out because it let you watch every game.
Right.
It's still great. They should just eliminate the blackout rules so that you can, the blackout rules are antiquated to me because everybody's watching at home, everybody's got TV setups. It's let's get with the times, people. That thing was 50 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that if you look at like Major League Baseball, because local rights have become so wonky in Major League Baseball right now, and Major League Baseball has now assumed essentially managing the rights of some of the teams. I think that Major League Baseball is going to figure out a way to offer all of its games
Yeah,
without some local rights issues. But the local rights issues are major in like markets like I'm in the New York market. The New York market local rights are real serious business here. But in lots of these other markets, I used to know the GM of a I won't say a professional sports team very well. And he was telling me that in his particular local market for his particular local sports, that wasn't worth anything to him. anymore.
Really?
It was worth zero to him.
Wow.
And and he went out to try to sell it. He literally couldn't get anything for it. So I think that the sports are kind of aware of that in some markets and in some sports it
I
just
can see that because it's
it's
so
just not
regional,
valuable. Yeah.
depending on the sport.
Hmm.
Like, if you just said, what are the Dallas Stars hockey rights worth in Dallas compared to what the Bruins rights are in Boston,
Oh, totally
you
different.
know, yeah, two completely different things. And so I can see how it get down like that.
Yeah.
Just like in Dallas, Cowboys is much different than if you were in Cincinnati trying to sell rights to the Bengals post game show or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it really is it's all going to change, but I do think that that's why the NFL rights story I think is going to be a really NFL renegotiating its media rights story is going to be really important to people who are sports viewers who are concerned about how they're going to particularly watch the NFL. I think that's going to usher in it's going to be a really good catalyst for change, and I actually think it's going to be a positive catalyst for change because one thing that the NFL does do is
Oh,
the
oh.
NFL yeah, the NFL is very good at ensuring that a lot of people can watch and a lot of people can watch easily. So I actually think this is going to be a positive thing, and it's going to be one of the things that's going to change. 2026 is going to be a year where you're going to see a rebundling or a single way that you can watch sports. That's really, I think, what's good, the major impact of what the renegotiation of these rights is going to be.
Bottom line for me, bring on the skinny bundle, baby. I can't wait.
But bottom line for me, it's what I just said is that there's going to be a better viewing experience for consumers who want to collect and view all of their sports in one spot. We're going to see a catalyst for that with the NFL renegotiating its media rights. And as you point out, we've already started to see that with YouTube TV looking to offer that specialized sports bundle.
Now, coming up in 26, we also have the World Cup. Now, we got coming to North America, we got games in Dallas. Now, you think it's going to be boom or bust?
Mhm.
Why?
Well, I think for a number of reasons. One is that it's a logistical challenge to get all these games going all over the country. That's number one. Number two is that the viewership, while it's high, the viewership really peaks really around either the United States being on or in maybe the quarterfinals, but certainly the semifinals and the finals. So you've got a much larger tournament this year than there
Right.
has been in the past. It's in cities around the country, and in in Mexico and in Canada, and it's a lot to ask the consumer, particularly in the United States, to watch and consume. And oh, by the way, the tickets are outrageously
Dudes,
expensive.
they're crazy.
Hmm.
Like, I don't like real talk. Who can afford those tickets?
Yeah,
I mean, you got to be saving up. I mean, rich people can afford them, but your average person,
they're not. I also think another underappreciated or underanticipated impact of the World Cup is that because so many of the games are in the United States has seen a pretty strong dip in foreign travel to the United States in the
right?
last year. That's not going to change. So you may not attract the same kind of crowd that will travel to any of these games. You may not attract those kind of crowds. You may not sustain the amount of interest because so many of the games are here in the United States. The last thing we want to do is make this a political show, but I do think that has an impact on who's going to watch the games, particularly in person, and how much juice these games are going to have, because I don't think you're going to see the same international crowds at these games.
No, not if. Yeah, I can see how that would depending on who you are, how that would make you leery. Heck, we got people walking around the streets who are already American citizens leery. So it's a real concern. I think the biggest thing is the like I was just thinking like if you come as a nationalist, whoever your team is, how much money you got to spend to be over here to watch your team play?
Right.
And are you just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna watch my team in group play, then I'm going home, or I'm gonna ride with my team as long as they're here?
Yeah, it's going to be of I think it's going to be a really interesting test for for the sport because it unlike, Europe or parts of South America, you know, soccer is popular here, but it's not pervasively popular like it is there. So you
Okay,
do, so you don't you're not going to have this enormous interest in the United States like you may have in other countries. And now if you have other countries, people from other countries who may not be as likely to travel as they were maybe a couple of years ago for an event like this, I think this event has potential to have not a have a whole hell of a lot of juice to it. You could argue on the other side though that maybe then that the tickets have to become less expensive and
they got to
maybe
drop, man.
yeah, and then maybe it starts to, incentivize people who might not consider coming to an event like this, maybe becomes in their reach to get to this event. I just don't think it doesn't jibe for me. It doesn't feel like it's right for me. I also think that the U.S. national team isn't generating a lot of buzz. Uh,
They
you
aren't
know,
that good.
yeah, and I think that's a real issue too.
They aren't that good, and I know
Pulisic, yeah,
Pulisic is the new star, but like I haven't heard much about him lately.
yeah. Well,
Um,
Pulisic is a really good European player. He's not a great European player. He's a really good European player.
yes,
And I think, U.S. soccer is they don't it's like, U.S. soccer is not like Ohio State football. They don't have the best players, U.S.
right,
soccer, they're not like Purdue, but U.S. soccer is maybe like Kentucky. Sometimes they have a really good program, sometimes they
right.
don't, and sometimes they can win a few games, sometimes they don't. But I think that you're not going to have that interest in the U.S. Now, the U.S. group is
They made it winnable now.
it's winnable, so they're gonna get through. So they got lucky with the draw, but
You
you
think it
know
was luck?
they're not gonna. Well, okay, they were fortunate with the draw.
It's
Let's just
like
say
Shaq
that.
going to Orlando.
Yeah, yeah, they were the
Cooper Flag
what
coming to Dallas
you
luck.
think that they were the cold Patrick Ewing envelopes, from many years ago, but uh, so I think there's a lot of things that get me a little bit leery of the success of the World Cup in the United States.
But let me ask you this: I have my own take that I'll give you in a second. Why do you think MLS is not really taking off in the states?
I don't think there's any good players. I don't think there's any good stars. I think you need to have, where you've seen it excel and where you've seen it become very popular is when Messi came in and people
Right.
want to watch Messi. I don't think you have a lot of other players, who are
See,
at that level.
that's really why I get down. Like I'm a soccer guy. Played soccer from probably age 9 until 16. And so I'm a soccer fan. I watch the Premier League. I don't watch a lot, but I watch it when I watch.
Hmm.
And the reason I never got into MLS was if you watch the Premier League, it is incredibly difficult to watch MLS.
Oh, no question. Oh, it's
I
not
mean, you
even.
just can't. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, it's like if you watch a lot of college football, you would have a hard time watching Division 3 football because you'd just be like, it just ain't the same.
Do you remember the last World Cup? I guess it was 20, was it 22? I guess it was 22. The U.S. played the Dutch, the Netherlands in
Yeah,
like either I think it was a quarterfinals, and I remember making that exact statement. I said it's like they're playing a different game. They were so much better. They were just playing a different game.
yeah.
And I just remember
Uh,
being sort of, I'm a casual soccer fan. I mean, I've been, I like to travel to different stadiums, if ever I'm in Europe to watch the games,
right.
I'm not sort of I don't live and die by the table in the Premier League or anything, and but gosh, when you watch it as a fan, the
Yeah,
quality of the U.S. play is not even it's not even close.
no. And watching MLS, even though it's got its own fan base, like again, I'm really a soccer guy. Dallas has had a soccer team for 20 some years. FC Dallas. I've never gotten to see them play
Yeah. Well,
because it feels like it's not like, I mean, it's real soccer. They're professionals. They're really good players, but it ain't the Premier League.
well,
It
look.
ain't La Liga. I mean, it's not the Bundesliga.
Look what happened. So the MLS struck a deal, I think it was a year ago, a couple years ago, I don't recall exactly when, to be a subscription service that was exclusive to Apple TV. So you do
Right.
Apple TV and then you subscribe in addition to get the MLS. You didn't hear anything about that, you know? And
No.
in fact, what happened a few months ago, maybe it was last month, November, I think, is now the MLS is just part of Apple TV. You don't even need a separate subscription for it starting in 26.
No. Well, man,
And
it's I don't think it does. I understand it. I get it. But to me, it doesn't do the league any good, or it doesn't help grow the game when you say, "Oh, now that Beckham is old and can't play anymore, hey, let's go
right,
to the MLS."
right.
Now that
Well,
Messi is old and doesn't,
yeah,
he's good over there, but he's no longer great. Hey, let's come over to the MLS where he can dominate
right.
and
Well,
be
it's the same.
Messi in his
Yeah,
prime.
yeah. It's the same reason the NBA is really popular overseas because it's such a better league than any league that's
Yeah,
overseas, and it's the same reason that the EPL, European, the 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 English Premier League is so popular here because it's the most. It's a great league. A lot of the European leagues are equivalent, but it's the most watchable soccer, I think, for the United States market, and it does the sports rights for it are huge.
right. So it'll be interesting to see how the World Cup plays out. Um, my bottom line is I hope the ticket sales drop to make it more affordable so that people like me can decide one day, hey, maybe I'll just go see what the scalpers are selling for on the street and go check out a game.
Uh, Bottom line for me, I think the World Cup, unfortunately, is going to struggle in the United States. And I also think, unfortunately, and not to make any sort of pun, I think it's going to be a political football because a lot of people won't travel to the United States to watch these games. And I think it's going to limit the juice that the World Cup has. I hope I'm wrong, but unfortunately, I think that's what's going to happen.
Let me give you a hand clap. That was a hell of a pun.
Yeah,
Hey, man.
what's funny? I just thought of it. It wasn't like I planned that. I said, "Oh, political football. That's a good one." Yeah. So,
Um, you know, I just got back. I'm telling the truth now. I'm being honest with y'all. I just got back into watching baseball, probably in the last 2 years. That's because they got rid of that three pitch outcome, strikeout, walk, or homer, because that thing was boring. Hey, a quick exit ramp. NBA, y'all damn near headed down the same route. 3 pointers or dunks. The game's getting boring. But okay, back to baseball now.
by the way,
Um,
that's a great point. That's exactly what's happening. I have
it's
not
a
heard
two.
anybody say that. Yeah.
It's a three
Yeah.
possession outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
3 pointer, dunk, free throw.
Yeah.
That makes for boring basketball.
You're
Um,
100% right.
but the thing about baseball is we got the Dodgers now. You're always gonna have the evil empire, the Yankees, but now you got the Dodgers, and the Dodgers by hey maybe we can get this pink guy in free agent. Oh, just signed with the Dodgers for $1 billion with 999 million
Right.
deferred in the 21-20. So you got that. You got Otani, who's like, if Otani was on a video game, you'd be like, can we get it off of rookie settings? Can you put it on like the hard thing where it's really a challenge? And then you got a guy like Paul Skeens. You got stars in baseball. The game's interesting. The rule changes are good. And just as I get excited, my friend, a work stoppage looms. And one thing I know about the baseball union, oh, they'll go out on strike in a minute because all them dudes sign $500 trillion contracts so they can wait out a strike. They got money.
Yeah. Look, it's the typical cycle for baseball, which is grow in popularity and then figure out a way to screw it up. But what I think baseball has done over the last few years, and you kind of alluded to it, is they gotten rid of the shift. They added in a pitch clock. They made the bases bigger. They put a runner on second base to start the 10th inning so we didn't have, 50 inning games. they made the game far more exciting. The game is a lot better to watch. And people are excited about it. There are a handful of really good teams with really great players, and there are stars, and the game is really, really picking up in terms of popularity.
This is the most popular it's probably been since Sosa and McGuire were doing their thing.
I think that's probably right. I think that's probably right. And so baseball's just going to come along and they're going to screw it up, and there's going to be some sort of work stoppage and some sort of lockout, and it's going to set the sport back. And I'm not sure how much further the sport can be. I don't know if the sport, how it survives, if it suffers a major setback. I don't know how it comes back quickly. I just
Okay, I,
don't
I was
see.
going to say, what do you think? What's the worst possible fallout other than people just stop going? But
I think indifference. I mean, I think what happens is if the games if the game if they stop playing, if the season doesn't start on time, I think it's going to be indifference. I really do. And I think that's going to be a major impact. I think one of the bizarre potential impacts of this is that if there is a work stoppage and the game, is impacted and the season starts later, I think there's going to be a real interest in shortening the baseball season in general. That'll never happen because of the money involved, but I think there's a lot of potential bad outcomes for baseball. They got to get their act together. And I think you've got, intractable owners in an intractable union. So I don't see it happening.
no, I don't think that they're smart enough to figure that out, man. I think everybody's arrogant enough. And I told you already, as a sports fan, in addition to being a sports journalist, I ain't trying to hear billionaires arguing over billions. I don't care.
Hmm.
And I think baseball is just now getting a new generation of fans. And we talked about this when I had my radio show on ESPN for 6 years. We talked about this all the time. The competition for eyeballs or ears or people is fierce. If you give somebody an opportunity to leave you, oh, there's a great chance they ain't coming back because there's so much out there that captures our attention. Oh, I used to spend this time watching baseball. Oh, now I do this, or now I do that, or now I stream, or now I do something. But the competition for people is too fierce for you to just be fighting over billions and give up and allow them a month or 2 months or 6 weeks to be distracted by something else.
That's precisely the point. And also the switching costs for me as a consumer of anything is zero. It's not like I have to oh, I better get in my car and turn on the radio, or I better,
Yeah.
walk to my basement and turn on my TV. There's no switching costs anymore, you know? And I think they are potentially setting themselves up for it's not just short-term pain, long-term pain that could really, really impact the future of the sport.
No, I think so. As for bottom line for me, when it comes to baseball, don't act the fool and have a strike because your boy will not be back.
But bottom line for me, baseball will figure out a way to screw things up just as it's becoming more and more successful. And unfortunately, I think that's going to happen here. God, I sound like a downer. I'm worried about the World Cup and I'm worried about baseball, but
That's your nature, man. You
yeah,
can't
I
help
guess
it.
so. I
So
guess
here's something for you to be optimistic about.
okay. Let's,
We're moving to 26. Will the Buckeyes defend their championship? I say they will, but here's the caveat: that offense has got to play at a higher level than I've seen it against good teams. Like Michigan kind of kept them in track for a while. Indiana kept them in track for a while. They've got to be more productive on offense. I don't have any questions about their defense holding people under 20 points. You're playing good teams. You're going to give up some points. The defense will hold people under 20, I think, which means the offense is up to you to do your thing and get 3 touchdowns a game.
I'm hopeful that the offense. I think they're holding their. I still believe Ohio State's offense is holding its cards close to its vest, and it hasn't shown what it can really do. I hope. So,
I mean,
if
it's about time to show it now, bro.
yeah, right. I think they have to show it now, and if they play either, whoever they play, if they make it
Miami, Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, Miami, whoever, they're going to have to score because some of those teams are going to score 20 points.
Yeah,
Ohio State's going to have to score, but more importantly, Ohio State's going to have to finish.
yeah,
They can get into the red zone, they can sustain
yes.
long drives. They have to finish. And
Well,
I think that's the biggest issue, and it's hard to finish against good teams.
well, here's my whole point. This has been my. I've had two concerns the whole year. They answered one concern. One concern I had was, okay, hey, I just know the deal. All this defense you're playing is great. You're going to come up against Michigan and you're going to come up against Indiana, and they're going to try to run the ball and physically dominate the line of scrimmage. Can you handle that when teams do that? And they handled it as well as I think you can expect them to handle.
I
So
agree.
I don't worry about the defense. Defense is fine. But I've wondered all year, and I'm not just a Johnny come lately. I've wondered all year, can you really run the ball when you want to run the ball? Because scoring in the red zone is really about running it in the red zone. And when you run it in the red zone, then when you play action to the tight end, it works because people say, oh my God, how we going to stop the running in the red zone? So I think, now it's just me, and I don't know. I think we see Lincoln Keenholz a lot more
Mm, mm,
inside the
mm,
five
mm.
when they're running the ball because at least now you have a real run threat. Like maybe he runs it, maybe he doesn't, but now you have to be concerned as a defense about him. Justin Sand, terrific quarterback, has already proved to me he can't run. Now, not that I thought he could run, but a couple times on the quarterback sneak, he slipped, he's fallen. He's not a big guy. He ain't moving the pile. Keen Host is like 6'3", 230. He can move a pile if he's initially stopped. And so we've seen him do it during the season. I don't know why they didn't do it in the Big Ten championship game. I expect him to be a lot more involved in their red zone offense inside the five than we saw against Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. And I think if they do that, they'll be able to finish and score touchdowns. Because what's the one rule I have for college football? Never, under any circumstances, ever, ever, never, ever
Trust the kicker,
trust
right?
a college kicker. I don't care
Right.
who he played for.
Uh-huh.
Don't trust a college kicker.
Right. Right. Well, I do think that if you asked what is one dimension that's different between the national championship team last year and this year, it's
Yeah,
the
no doubt.
ability of the quarterback to run. I think
Um,
that's one of the biggest. That is a one dimension that just doesn't exist. I
but
think.
not just that, but the running backs were.
Oh, the running backs were better. Yeah.
Yeah. There's really no comparison between Judkins and Trayvon Henderson and Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson's a good back. Those guys were stellar.
Yeah. Well, and also, and Judkins was also a big back. So I think they're trying to kind of duplicate that. I think with getting C.J. Donaldson in there, but it seems to me the coaching staff doesn't trust him anymore or doesn't want him in there anymore, and I don't know why that is. And there's probably reasons why. But I mean, Bo Jackson's a great back. I'm not sure Bo Jackson and Julian Sand at the 5 yard line is what you want. You want you're right. Lincoln Keenholz, I think that's a very good observation because that's essentially what they need.
Yeah. And they've shown it. So, I was curious why they didn't do it. I'm sure there's some reason. But they gotta if they can finish those opportunities because I don't trust the kicker.
Yeah.
Not just because I don't trust any kicker, but uh, he's a kicker who I think he missed twice against Michigan last year.
Hmm.
He missed this year. At Ohio State as a kicker, they really only need you about twice a year.
Hmm.
And you got to make those kicks. The
Right.
other kicks don't really matter.
Right.
But
Right. 'Cause
twice a year, they need you to make a
yeah.
kick, and you got to make it.
Yeah.
And at some point in the playoff, they're going to need you to make a kick. And you got to make it, bro. And I don't trust him. So they need to be scoring touchdowns, not kicking field goals.
No, I think that's 100% right. Uh, you know, I I also think that one of the things that they have to do a couple of things also. One of the things they have to do is I think they need to throw to the tight end more earlier in the game to open up the wide receivers. I think that they have a very good tight end. I don't think they're throwing to him enough. The other thing was, and I'm not a smart enough football person to see it, but when I watched the game, the announcer of the Indiana game pointed out a couple of times we're saying just missed wide open receivers, just
Yeah.
missed a lot of stuff. So maybe that particular moment was too big or is a learning opportunity for Sane, and maybe he responds really well in subsequent games, or maybe that's what we're going to get. I just don't know.
Well, this is his first year starting. He's done a phenomenal job. He's only going to get better. And your first time through it, you can't predict how anybody's going to do.
Right.
And the stage, trust me, as we watch these games, the stage is going to be big, too big for some people. Like you have no idea what Texas Tech will do on this kind of stage the very first time. You have no idea, like Indiana. We've talked about them. They won the game, but now you're the number one seed. You got the Heisman Trophy winner. You're no longer the underdog story. You're like, you're supposed to be here. That's a whole different kind of weight than last year where you're the cute little story. You've
Right.
been featured on 60 Minutes. Everybody knows you can play now. So there's no you snuck up on people. People didn't respect you. Number one seed in the tournament. That's a different kind of weight to carry, and you don't know how they carry it if they fall behind or if they have
Right.
some troubles
And
late in the game.
the opposite side of that might be Georgia. No one's talking about Georgia.
Nobody, bro.
Nobody's talking about Georgia. And
And that's what Kirby's telling them. They don't respect us, man.
right. One of my very close friends, he called me and he was telling me, he said, I think the Georgia Ohio State game is going to be the de facto national championship game if they both reach the semis.
I can
And
see that.
I don't know. I think Indiana is going to be I think Indiana is either going to be a juggernaut all the way through and they're going to win it all, or they're going to trip up pretty early. I don't think they're going to be you know, I don't think they're going to like lose in the semifinals. I think they're either going to get to the final or they're going to lose. Well, I mean, they might lose in the semifinals, but I don't see them. They're going to be boomer bust as well. I don't, and they could easily win the whole thing. They certainly have the talent to.
No,
They have the best quarterback, which is.
they're the best quarterback, and they probably have the best coach. I think so.
I think that they have one of the three best coaches.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think Kirby Smart,
Ryan Day.
Ryan Day, and Signetti. I think they've got one of the three best. I don't think the difference in coaches is particularly great among those three, but I do think their quarterback's better than everybody else. I do.
Yeah.
So, and
So
I think that's the advantage that they might have.
yeah. So have a great 26. Bottom line for me. Hey, what can I say? Buckeyes roll.
But yeah, but bottom line for me, look, I'm going to be out of the country for the first for if Ohio State's in the first couple of games, but I'll be back if Ohio State's going to be playing for the national title. So I hope I get to see them, play for the national title. Do you know where are the game? I don't even know where the national title is this year. Do you know?
Bro, I don't even know.
I don't either. I don't either.
I just know they're coming to the Cotton Bowl for the first round game. So I may find myself there.
Yeah, well, I think if Ohio State makes the national title game this year, I think we should go. But that's a story. We could talk about that offline.
Yeah,
But
we definitely talk about that offline.
but I think we should go, or at least I'm going to go. I'm going to try to figure out how to go, and I'm going to drag one of my kids with me. So, uh, but in any case, all right, Jacques, have a great 26.
Yeah, you too, my friend. He's
And
Jeremy Pink. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor. You guys take care and keep an eye on your sports and your money.
all right, talk to everybody next time.